Okay, now this week's video I'm excited for, but it's gonna be very different than the usual one because I promised you guys that I had some big news coming up. And well, the time has come. The reason that you guys missed the promised midweek video is because I just featured in my first ever documentary and they freaking flew me out to New York City. Pretty big news, but I wish it was as simple as that. But it wasn't, because as soon as I got on the flight, everything turned very strange. Of the 223 people that the plane could carry, only, and I'm not even kidding, only about 23 people actually boarded the plane. Where was everyone else? Honestly, I sat there and I started stressing. I was thinking, okay, what is going on in New York right now that I don't know about? Or worse, what's wrong with this plane? Because I have never in my entire life been on an empty flight before. This was weird. Oh, and I also had another problem. Like most of us, I imagine, I grew up watching movies all about New York. You had your Elves, you had your Spider-Man, Madagascar, Home Alone. And because of watching all of these movies, I feel like I knew every neighborhood in New York, seen every landmark, shooed away every rat, contracted every subway disease, all without ever actually being there. And the problem I had was I only had 16 hours to complete a massive checklist of 18 things that I wrote out that I had to do and I had to see while I was in New York. And you better not judge me for some of these, okay? Because I'm trying to live my life. I showed a few people the list and they told me it was impossible. They said I would fail. But the thing they didn't realize was I was heading to the concrete jungle where dreams are made of and there's nothing you can't do when you're in New York. So as soon as I touched down, the pressure was on and I got cracking. First on the list was, of course, seeing the 9/11 memorial. But because our flight only arrived in New York at 1 a.m., we had some bloody catching up to do. So we paid our respect, took a bunch of pictures, and we moved on because we had on our list a chest beating to do on Wolf of Wall Street. And by an absolute stroke of luck, on the way to one checklist point, we passed another checklist point, walking over a manhole with steam coming out of it. I mean, come on. How more New York can you get? Okay, now guys, hear me out on this one because, you know, like I didn't expect it to smell like eucalyptus or oranges or flower petals, okay? But my lord, I did not expect it to taste like holy shit in my mouth. It literally was pure shit. I'm only doing that once. But unfazed, a little phased, we headed to Wolf of Wall Street. Please. And you'll never believe it, but yet another checklist point was on the way because right underneath the Wall Street sign, there was a hot dog stand. And you know I gotta do it. Look, now I need to tell you guys, if any of you go to New York, you need to get this because that shit was delicious. I'm not even joking. Just a 5-minute walk away from that was yet another checklist point, the Raging Bull. Oh no, actually it's called what is it called? Something like a raging bull or a charging bull. But there was a freaking massive line of tourists, like us I guess, wanting to take pictures with it from both angles. I don't understand the behind angle one, but okay, whatever. Obviously, I had no time to spare waiting in line, so I took an average picture with a bunch of people in the background. I don't give a f. I checked it off the list, and then moved on to something that we were both a little bit, nervous to do. Riding the subway. Look at us, only once. And it took about 5 minutes to realize, yes, it is just as dodgy as everyone says it is. Now, I couldn't get much on camera because of the numerous crackheads that we encountered. But because we got the subway to Grand Central Station, we checked off 2 in 1. And now it was time for Times Square. Now, this place was just pure chaos. You had massive gorillas trying to give you hugs. You had Spider-Man people trying to extort you for money. You had half-naked cowboys playing guitar.
Don't forget the back.
So I was like, okay, this is just all too much. Let me take my pictures, cross it off the list, and get the hell out of here. So, saying that, there was actually no better opportunity to get another one in, which was hailing a cab in New York City. And I'll be honest, it's not as easy as it looks in the movies. I failed multiple times. A couple of them actually didn't even accept card, which is strange in 24. And someone drove past, not in a cab, and was like, you want any cocaine? But after all of that, I finally did it, and I got us one. Another ticked off the list, and we were heading to the big one, the Empire State Building. And when we realized that it's $162 for 2 tickets to go up to the top, I was thinking this better be bloody worth it. And with views like that and pictures like this, it bloody was. But with 8 more things still left to go, we had run out of time for the first day. Because now it was time for the main event, the reason I was there in the first place. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous for this one, because I've been to plenty premieres before, but I've never been to one where I was actually in the film we were about to watch. And on top of that, this thing was no joke. It was made by Max Joseph, who was the guy behind We Are Your Friends and Catfish, amongst plenty other things. And the panel was being hosted by Casey Neistat, who is a YouTube legend. So I was a little bit like, what am I doing here? So with anticipation, we took our seats, and about 2 minutes and 22 seconds in, we made our appearance. According to the 4th annual Mental State of the World report, the top 3 are Tanzania in 3rd, Sri Lanka in 2nd. And honestly, I don't know how to describe the feeling, but it was really strange watching yourself in the cinema. That's never gonna happen probably ever again, but it was weird. If you want to go see the series, the first episode is actually posted on Max Joseph's YouTube channel, just the first episode. It's called Happiness, and it's actually really good. But with 8 more things left to do, and only about 8 hours left to do them in, day 2 was gonna be tough. So we got locked in, we woke up early, and we headed straight to the Staten Island Ferry, which is, conveniently, the one that Spider-Man split in 2. And we did this because it passed the Statue of Liberty, which, as you'll probably see, was one of the biggest things for me on my list. So I got my picture, and Elliot just so happened, actually this is crazy, he happened to FaceTime me as we were going right past. And with that out of the way, we decided to walk 35 minutes to the next one, Brooklyn Bridge. Once we finally got there, we realized there's actually a Cinnabon right underneath the bridge, which just so happens to also be on our list. And you better know that trying a New York Cinnabon is on there. And you best know, a New York Cinnabon is a cut above the rest. 3 down, 5 more to go. And it was at this point where things started to go wrong, because we had hoped that while we were in Brooklyn, we could tick off seeing a New York rat, because apparently, according to Google, that's where they all are. But despite walking down the bummiest alleys we could find, we didn't see one. And I started to lose hope that we were ever going to see a New York rat. So we decided to cut our losses and head to Central Park. But because it was halfway across the city, we got stuck in some major traffic, which I'm not going to lie, was devastating for this checklist. However, when we finally got to Central Park, I honestly have to say, out of all of the things we did in New York, this one blew my mind the most.
That's very cool. New York was very cool.
Stepping out of a massive, harsh concrete city and then immediately going into somewhere which feels like the English countryside is so insane. I can't even describe it to you. You had horses walking around, you had squirrels running across the grass, you had these massive baseball fields with like school children playing, and you even had people rowing boats on the water. And this is all in the center of a city. Weird. And with only 1 hour left to go and 4 more things still not checked off, we quickly ran to the Apple in New York to go and see the Vision Pros and just how insane the whole store is. And the last item, with only about 20 minutes to go before we just had to go and get our flight, was the New York portal that opened up to Dublin. So for the final count, we managed to tick off 16 of the 18 things in 16 hours. That's an average of 1 activity per hour for 16 hours. The only things we didn't do was fly over New York City in a helicopter and see a freaking rat. How did we not see that? And out of all of the places I've been to while I've been making YouTube videos, which is Mexico, Texas, is there any others? I don't know, but New York is hands down a 10 out of 10. It is the most exciting and fun city I have ever been to. There is so much to do, so much to see, and I'm definitely gonna go back, hopefully during Christmas. That would be a cool time to go. That is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back to a regular news update in the middle of next week on Thursday. But if any of you guys have been to New York yourself, let me know in the comments what you think. And with all of that being said, I love you, and I'll see you on Thursday.